Today in the Book Lab, we're going to be taking a look at a custom heavy metal minifigure from Hunted. Heavy Metal is the Iron Baron's most proficient dragon hunter, and as such is quite the interesting character. And it's an interesting minifigure as well, so let's go ahead and take a look. To make Heavy Metal, we could go for the LEGO Superheroes approach and just use some plain black legs, but I'm not a huge fan of that. So let's go through our options here. Pretty much any of Cole's legs will do, or any black legs that have some sort of decoration. We could use some LEGO Ninjago movie Cole legs, or some stone armor Cole legs, which I'd say are my second favorite to use. We could also use these legs from the Nexonites line from earlier this year. They do have a bit of a futuristic look, so it's not something I'd recommend though. And of course, maybe some Kai legs. They do have some red decorations here, kind of a scaled armory look. Red might not be the color you're looking for though. We also do have some legs from Jungle Garmadon. They do have a rugged outdoorsy vibe to them. Or we have legs from the Cole minifigure from Sons of Garmadon. They do look pretty cool, and yeah, they're probably a close tie with the stone armor Cole legs. But the legs I'll be using will be just original Cole legs. I do tend to use them a lot, but hey, they're pretty handy. They're nice and simple, and they add a nice finishing touch to any minifigure. So with torsos, we'll start out with the Nexonites one. Again, I'm not a huge fan of it. It looks a bit futuristic, especially with the power button and all. Although you could pretend it's just some sort of armor that Heavy Metal found somewhere. We could also use this torso, which is from the Dino Hunters theme from 2004. It's pretty dated, you might not have it. There were a couple great torsos from that line. Kind of some rugged outdoorsy ones. We could also use this stone armor torso, which is from 2013. It looks pretty good, and it would probably be my second favorite torso. If you don't have it, you could always use one of the more recent stone armor minifigure torsos. I'd recommend swapping those red hands out for white ones, just because the red tends to stand out a bit. But the torso I'm gonna settle for is this one, which is from Cole from Rebooted. It looks pretty cool and has some oranges decorations, which is what all the Hunted minifigure torsos have. It's probably a bit too futuristic and ninja-y for one of the dragon hunters, but I think it looks pretty cool, so that's what I'll be sticking with. And again, I'd recommend swapping the black hands out for white ones, in this case just for a little bit of contrast. You can do that if you want. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the armor. So when I first thought of armor for Heavy Metal, this was what I came up with. It's General Zod's armor, but backwards. That way it kind of gives Heavy Metal the masked look. The only problem is, if you're using a double-sided head, the back is openly visible and it doesn't look so good. Also, it just doesn't look good, period. So next up we have the Cryptor armor piece. That's probably my second favorite if we just put that on. We can also then pop on a ninja mask, and that looks pretty good overall. The only problem is, again, if you're using a double-sided head, then that's going to be visible from behind. Spoiler alert for later on, my preferred head is actually this head from the collectible minifigure series 12 Spooky Girl, and if we use that one with this combination of armor and mask, it actually looks pretty good, and you won't have that double face from behind. We could put on the head just to see how that looks like, and there we go. I'd say my first favorite armor choice would probably be this one, which is also from the Nexonite sets from earlier this year. We can just pop that on. The only problem with it is that if you try to use a mask with it, the mask isn't going to go down all the way. But fortunately, the Ninjago movie gave us some new lower face masks, and those work perfectly fine with this. We can see here, it's really kind of seamless. Moving on from here, we can find a head. Now, the head, like I said, my favorite is the Spooky Girl from Minifigure Series 12. So we did get a couple great heads from the Nexonites line earlier this year. There's this head, which is from Pola. It's pretty nice. It does have this mask covering half the face, just like on Heavy Metal. The only problem is, of course, that mask is on the wrong side, but I mean, this is a custom. Nobody's expecting it to be perfect, right? Now, again, this one does have a double-sided face, but if we put on the hat, this one's from Jungle Garmadon, by the way, just in case you're wondering. It's probably used on a few other minifigures besides, but that's where mine came from. And we spin the minifigure around, we can actually see that that double-sided face, that second face, is obscured. So that's pretty neat. If you don't want to use the Pola head, you can always swap that out for this one, which is from one of the foot soldiers. It doesn't look especially feminine, but then again, Heavy Metal was kind of concealing her identity, so it's not bad. So if you want to go for a version of Heavy Metal that's out of her dragon hunter disguise, now's the time to do that. You can use one of these heads from the Nexonites line. I really wouldn't recommend it because, again, they don't look too friendly, and Faith actually wasn't that bad of a character. So in that case, I'd go ahead and I'd stick with the Spooky Girl, the Spooky Girl face again. Now, the hairpiece she uses is pretty rare. It's only found in the city, the Downtown Diner, and one other set, which I can't remember the name of offhand at the moment. It'll be on screen, though. Hairpiece I used instead was this hairpiece, which is from the Flying Jelly sub from the Ninjago movie line. It was also found in a few other collectible minifigures besides. It's the most common one and probably the one I'd recommend. So if you don't have it, you can also use the black ponytail piece, which was from the Toys R Us collectible minifigure pack from last year. But you're not limited to that. You could also use pretty much whatever black female hairpiece you think looks good. Here we have a wild style one, which again looks okay. I wouldn't recommend it. And my favorite, which would be this one from Lego Ninjago movie Cole. I really had my doubts on using it on the Cole minifigure, but on her, it actually does look pretty cool. I mean, it's not show authentic, but if you're not worried about that, I'd stick with this one, honestly. She's got the whole headband and top knot look going on, and honestly, she looks pretty scary. I wouldn't want to mess with her. Anyway, that about wraps it up for a look at the Heavy Metal / Faith minifigure. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all that other good stuff. And of course, feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @SamsBrickLab. And also, if you want, feel free to check out my behind the scenes / random account, which is at SBL_extras on Instagram. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You can find those links in the description. Anyway, I'm Sam. I'll see you next time.